Welcome back to the 2023 Skåne Open. This is the first event of the 2023 Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm Andrew Fish, joined here by Max Regitnig.
What's up, guys? Got another lead card here with a couple familiar faces and a couple new faces. Gustav putting in the hot round in the round 2 to climb up to the lead card, and Fritiof coming in, also sneaking into that lead card with a tie. Big tie at third.
Yeah, an absolutely gorgeous course. A lot of folks in the mix, and this bodes well for the rest of the 2023 Swedish Pro season, huh?
Yeah, kicking it off. Swedish, a lot of traction getting into the Swedish Pro Tour, and really cool to see it come to fruition.
And on hole 1, 110 meters, playing a little bit uphill. Woods to the right, out of bounds to the left. We've seen a mixture of mid-ranges and fairway drivers with backhands, as well as forehand fairway drivers. Gustav Dahlén. Trying to play a left to right shot, but that's going to scooch and take a bounce and get himself up for a look.
Yeah, looks like that OB wall was very generous to him there. And the guy's enjoying some tee-off music here. Josef opting for the backhand here. Nice looking turnover. A little early, but I think he kind of got a nice little kick off that brush, and maybe a circle 2 look for the birdie.
We saw Hjalmar Fredriksson in round 1. Lefty backhand, good putt, and mixes in some righty forehands as well. Yeah. And actually going to go long out of bounds.
Looked very controlled, but maybe just juiced the or upped the speed of the disc here. And Fritiof opting for a little F1 theme song for his tee-off song. Love to see it. And a great looking drive, getting helped by that OB wall. Fritiof coming from Stockholm, relatively new, I believe, to the sport, at least from competition, but definitely doesn't lack drive. Definitely been pushing his finishes here in Sweden and in Europe, and Josef coming up a little short on that birdie putt. And after going long OB, Hjalmar has this for par and makes good on it. Very confident looking stroke there.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a new school look where it's a lot of wrist, not a whole lot of the rest of his body.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Lauri Lehtinen from Finland. Yeah, like you said, a lot of wrist action, but getting that clean release can be very effective in the wind. As you can hear it in the background, probably pretty close to what we had in round 2. And Fritiof, a nice birdie to start it off.
You mentioned that he's been putting together good finishes. He also came over to the U.S. last year to play some A-tiers and get some experience elsewhere with a nicer winter.
Yeah, I'm sure he's wanting big things for the future. So great to see him on lead card here. Hole 2, 105 meter par 3 downhill. I think you want to keep it lower to keep it out of this wind, and Fritiof looks to do that nicely with the forehand, tracking to the pin. Great shot right there, checking up right by the basket.
And with that line, Gustav going to try to follow it. This will need to swing back because there's out of bounds left side. Gets caught up, but potentially in a manageable putting position.
Yeah, it looks a little awkward with that bush. Got a little stand up on his forehand, so I'm not sure if he's taking a little bit of speed off of it to try to let the disc do the work. But Josef, absolutely perfect angle there. Looking to throw his stiletto, just coming right on top of the pin there.
Hjalmar, this is a little too inside. It will need to check up. And that's the way to do that.
Yeah, plays very nice for the lefty. Looks like he got a nice wind drop halfway through the flight that I think helped him stay away from that OB right. But yeah, on the dance floor. And Gustav laying up for the par from that awkward bush putt.
Fritiof birdie to start. And it looks like there's going to be 2 more birdies on the card.
Couple of tap-ins there from Josef and Hjalmar. And yeah, Fritiof, 2 clean birdies to start off the round. I'm sure he's feeling good about that.
Hole 3, we're going to play back up the same hill, out of bounds to the left, and a pretty severe drop off to the right. I don't like to watch car crashes, but round 2 had some pretty interesting results involving that cliff.
Yeah, it can quickly unravel if you bring that hill into play. Looking like this shot from Fritiof is nicely straight up that hill, not bringing that cliff into play, and should have a good angle on that putt, not to look at the cliff.
Forehand also a pretty common play. This one hung out a little bit wide, not nearly the speed I think that it wanted to climb and move right.
Yeah, it looks like he might be pin high. 106 meters, playing probably closer to 120 meters uphill here. But Josef getting a look at birdie, but also a little dangerous there with the cliff.
Hjalmar, this never had the width or the power, and scooches down. Does stay safe, but going to be in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, it looked like that one just came out a little early for Hjalmar. Gustav looking at this forehand. Looks like he's aiming pretty wide, so...
Aimed wide, didn't start there.
Yeah, it looked a little early from Gustav. Probably laying up for the par there from the leader.
And actually a decent look from down there.
Yeah,
lined up with the gap well. Max, do you think that for Gustav this could be a little bit of nerves as he's starting with the overnight lead in a pretty big Swedish event, and all of a sudden his closest card mates are looking to gain strokes on him?
For sure. Gustav, I think, has had pretty decent success in his career. Definitely been around the game for a long time, him and his brother. So I'm not sure if this is real nerves. Obviously, still a big tournament, but
sure.
as the Swedish Pro Tour is still pretty new in its infancy, but still an A tier. These guys definitely want a prestigious win like this on their...
Join the Paul Macbeth Foundation's Builders Club to help bring sustainable disc golf experiences to people and communities around the world. Your donation will go directly to making a difference. Together we can make a big impact, one small donation at a time.
Hole 4, 81 meter par 3, little downhill. Most guys are electing for the putter shot. Little canopy here with the trees. Pretty quick green with the hard packed dirt into the pin. So keep something straight, put on the brakes, you got yourself a birdie.
And look at those flags ripping as they're trying to throw this controlled speed tee shot.
Yeah, we're definitely battling the wind again today here. Pretty common in the south of Sweden. Probably at this time of year as well, in the spring.
And before all the trees have properly leafed out.
Exactly. Josef ripping on his birdie. Getting a little bit of ground action, but getting through the mouth of that gap. Hjalmar, a nice down-tempo approach. Getting into that hard pan, but hitting that bush a little early to really get him all the way to the basket.
I think if you're going to fight the wind on a hole like this where you need a straight finish, you either need to do it with your angle or your stability. You can't do both, as we've seen a good correction by Gustav.
Yeah, Gustav getting in the circle there, looking at the birdie. Fritiof also already tied for Gustav for the lead, so maybe looking to put on the pressure. Great floaty look from Hjalmar there, but unfortunately just hitting the rim there. Also a good looking bid from Fritiof, just a little short. These guys maybe wind in their head, trying to make adjustments to their putt to, not have that huge comebacker, or hopefully floating in for the birdie. Nice direct looking stroke from Gustav to pick up the solo bird.
And the difference is he got to the tailwind side. It's a lot more predictable to know what the wind is going to do from a tailwind putt. And Hjalmar's body language, even lining that up, seemed a little tentative.
Definitely pretty nonchalant with that tap in. I'm not sure if it was just a lapse of grip in the hand or if he just found the right side of the chains that allowed it to spit all the way through. But unfortunate mishap there. But again, Hjalmar, very young. I think he's 16, 17, so still working on the tournament routine. He's definitely played very well in the last couple of years, so building that routine.
Hole 5, 121 meters, playing uphill, and you have to beat the rock pile as well as a whole bunch of birch trees. Being able to see this basket is on your second shot is a challenge enough. Playing into a headwind, even more so.
Yeah, and this water carry proved to be a little tough for our competitors in round 2. A couple of them finding the OB, but I'm hoping to see these guys pick the right stability to make it all the way across the water. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to be aggressive on this hole, I think, it's not easy to get that too. So pushing it into those birches and kind of rolling the dice, hoping you get a good action on there and even just a clean putt. All these birches are really, really tight together and doesn't always allow you for that clean birdie look.
Right. Even though Gustav had gotten safe, as this is burned over quickly, does manage to carry. As Gustav got safe to that left side, but even from there, being able to skip into the mouth of the tunnel is a challenge.
Yeah, it looks like a very strong headwind here. Not too surprising to see Josef's disc flip as much as it did. Maybe just underestimated the wind and didn't get quite enough hyzer on it. But Hjalmar with lefty backhand should be able to play pretty stable and pretty safe, as he does nicely. Gave a good height, but again, finding an entryway into that green is a tall ask in perfect conditions, and with this wind, definitely makes it very difficult. Josef trying to get up and down from the drop zone. Little hot. We'll see if he has a lane to the basket to save a bogey. Maybe some provisional action here, as Josef also played from his position by the water. Stay tuned for update on that. But Gustav looking to get up and down for his par. Does that nicely.
And from an even more complicated position, note that this is a right-hand forehand.
Yeah, Hjalmar flexing both hands.
But can't control his angle quite well, and it's going to roll away.
Yeah.
Leading to probably this looks like 15, maybe even 20 meter putt.
Yeah, deep circle 2 at least, but able to connect with the pole, but probably a little disappointed to let that one get away from him there. And Fritiof, I believe this was a birdie putt. Unfortunately, above the basket, and has this one for his par save.
And centered it in, nicely done. Keeps his round moving.
Yeah, had a chance to even it up with Gustav, as Gustav is just there for the par, but good to see him run it on a hole like this where it is a bonus birdie for sure. And it looks like Josef is taking the par, so maybe that provisional drop zone shot wasn't all that necessary, but
Yeah, once they got over there, they found out that the tee shot actually was in. That's great.
yeah, maybe just a time saver. But hole 6, 62-meter par 3, lots of trees to deal with, tight gap. Just want to get through this initial gap and moving left, and should have at least some look at the birdie.
This has the distance, but won't swing all the way to the left. Max, I really like the sequencing of holes 5 and 6, where you go from big, open power shot to having to disc down and throw something slow.
Yeah, I think Bulltofta does that pretty well. A lot of open shots, but they do sprinkle in these tight wooded holes, and even just within a hole. A couple of these par 4s go from big open drive into a tightly wooded green, or tightly wooded tee shot goes out to a open field.
Right, and we'll see that on the next hole.
For sure.
A little bit of difficulty navigating the tee shot.
Yeah, Josef getting caught up early. Hjalmar opting for another righty forehand, but looks to do that very nicely as he's making minis with Gustav there.
Yeah, both on the backside of the green. And wow,
Great
that's,
touch.
That's very well done from out of position.
Yeah, Josef definitely opts for that forehand upshot more often than not. So to see him get that angle perfectly right isn't a huge surprise, but to navigate those trees is very well done. Fritiof connecting with the cage there for the birdie. A nice bid there.
And nose down out of the hand. Never really got above the cage. Here is Hjalmar.
Yeah, these drives did get closer than I thought. They were pin high, but looked to leak a little bit right. But I mean, these are inside the circle for sure. 9 meters. Hjalmar taking his time, trying to bounce back from that back-to-back bogeys on 4 and 5. High in the chains there. Definitely had some pace on the putt. Again, maybe just to build the confidence, trying to get that dead center. But unfortunately, a little high in these prodigy baskets don't catch too well.
Fritiof makes his comebacker. He's kind of on the par train right now, but that's not losing him ground to the rest of the field.
Yeah, as Gustav is pretty commonly here, I think Fritiof, this is
I just think the
big for him.
plastic is very premium. It's a high quality material. The way the disc feels in my hand.
I think it's the quality of plastic.
It's unlike any other plastic that you'll find in the industry.
The quality is better than any other company out there.
Again, just consistent plastic. It's something I can consistently trust on every single throw.
There's so many discs to choose from, and I guarantee if you tried every disc in the lineup, you're gonna want to put multiple discs in your bag.
It's extremely high quality. You can only say so much, they have to eventually just try it themselves and see.
Hole 7, 174 meters as a par 4, but kind of a backwards par 4 where the tee shot is very technical, and then you're going to throw across an open field, a little more chance to air it out. And we're gonna poke back into the woods and have maybe 15 to 20 meters before the basket. This has been scoreable, but also very dangerous for our first 2 cards we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, if you get caught up early on this tee shot, it has proven to be very difficult to get up and down, and even just a chance at par. Gustav opting for the forehand, certainly just to hit this gap, but unfortunately hitting one of those first trees in the gap.
Fritiof going to go a little more aggressive and high, pushes towards the backside, should have something from there.
Yeah, looks like he got at least through this initial gap, so should have at least some airspace to maybe a longer shot, but at least some angle into the green.
And wow, this is way out there.
Josef putting a move on that one. I think that was a Firebird, hitting that gap really nicely. I'm sure not a lot of people expect to be in that position, but certainly appreciative when that opportunity presents itself. Hjalmar unfortunately hitting one of those trees in the gap and getting a 90-degree kick into this thick rough. Just trying to pitch it out to the fairway.
Yeah, get the distance you can and trust your third shot. Nicely done to get to the open space. And as the left-hander, having to throw a pretty complex shape here. Driver that holds over for a long time and hopefully flattens.
Yeah, he put that one really high in the air. It looked like he kept the line pretty well, but hit those first few trees in that gap, and yeah, probably 20-25 meters from the pin from there.
Likely left with a forehand turnover shot. Fritiof taking kind of a speculative gap and didn't have the height and ceiling to work with, but is lined up with the basket.
Yeah, tough to do that kneeling forehand into the green there. I'm sure he had probably at least 110 meters to the pin, maybe even more, but nice upshot there from Gustav. Should be an easy par from him.
And I agree with the assessment. Broadcast, that was on a string. Swung wide, that needs to hyzer. Or just get a favorable tree tap.
Nice upshot there from Josef. Pretty routine birdie there from him. And like you said, righty backhand or forehand turnover there, and up to the pin for a nice looking putt there. Straightforward upshot for Fritiof. Doesn't really have the option to go for it there. Maybe a little nose up runner, but taking the easy par here for him.
And centered. He's had to make a few comebackers and cashed all of them.
Yeah. Fritiof not usually up on these big tournaments. New to the sport, definitely finding his legs, but maybe playing a little aggressive on those first putts, but he's holding it down and hitting those par putts when he gets those comebackers.
Hjalmar still a little frustrated as he splashes out left side. We'll take a 6. Josef, very nice to get his birdie, and Gustav, the disciplined 4.
Yeah, very well done from Josef. Hole 8, 260 meter par 5. Pretty open shot to begin with, but you want to keep this in the middle of the fairway to open up that angle for the second shot as it moves right to left around this corner, and then third shot you are navigating this wall of trees before the basket. Again, pretty similar to hole 7's green, where it's probably 15-20 meters before the basket.
Josef with a hyzer release, and as it stands up and then goes real far, he should have an opportunity to throw a big hyzer and maybe get an eagle look out of that.
Big distance from Josef. I know he definitely has great backhand form, great power. Looked like he was powering up on his Kastaplast Guld. Gustav going for the forehand, maybe leaking out a bit right, but on this par 5, distance isn't huge just to be able to get through that second gap and move around the corner. It's all in that third shot to navigate those trees.
You got to think these players who are throwing the counterclockwise spin with their forehand are trying to get to the left side to open up the angle for their second, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the wind is doing. Doesn't look too strong, but maybe a right to left that can kind of push that forehand down. But yeah, maybe even just kind of playing the situation between Fritiof and Gustav. Gustav with the one-stroke lead right now, but
we saw in our intro that there are plenty of players still in contention, and 6 or 8 down is possible on this course, maybe even double digits if the winds are favorable. So they can't just be playing each other. They need to know that the rest of the field has lots of holes left too. And this is smoked. And we'll see what kind of pokes he has to work with to find a gap.
But looks like he's in like jump putt range there, so he should be able to shape something into the green there for the birdie. Hjalmar going for this high turnover again. Didn't quite get the angle right. Leaks out of bounds right. Yeah, pretty tough for that lefty backhand, just to keep it panning right without it flexing out too early.
And I'll own up that I miscalled what would be available for this second shot. Unfortunately, it's a stally forehand.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe juiced that drive too much and got himself pinched on that corner. But should be able to. Looks like he's got a bit of a gap to the pin, anyways. But got caught up on those branches, so unfortunate to have to. Yeah, probably take a par there from the longest drive on the hole.
Yeah, sometimes distance isn't equated with being in position. Hjalmar's fourth. We'll give him a chance to save par, although from deep in circle one, it appears. Fritiof's third.
Yeah, as you can see, that gap is not very wide, so penetrating up into this pin is pretty tough, and Fritiof did it very well there. Short touch forehand from Josef, keeping it low, using that Berg nicely, putting on the brakes. That's what Bergs are for. Gustav was in that jump putt range and unfortunately not able to find a gap into the basket, and he still has a lot on the table here, having to lay up, take a bogey there.
I think that should be a par opportunity. All of those gaps look to be the same size and just smaller than a disc. Hjalmar able to save his 5. That's very good even after going out of bounds. Fritiof in for a 4, moving him to 3 down on the round.
Yeah, maybe feels like a bogey from Gustav as Fritiof able to take a stroke on him there.
And hole 9, our final hole at the front. You won't be able to see it off the tee. You just have to trust what your practice rounds have told you about how to throw it and where to start it. 87 meters uphill and a drop off behind.
Fritiof taking the box. Got that a little high, but had some nice angle on it. And wow, great pace. Looking for a birdie putt there.
Yeah, uses the entire right side of the gap with an overstable disc to fade back. We've seen a bunch of different approaches here, Max.
Yeah, I would say cresting this hill a little higher than Josef. Obviously came up a little short, reaching the ground a little too quick, but as it is pretty windy, you don't want to put it too high in the air as it can just sail right or left.
And this is tracking much too far right.
Yeah, got a little bit of action back towards the pin, but as you can see, the spectator is off to the right. That's probably not where you want to be.
Hjalmar looking to right the ship, get some momentum going into his back. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be headed the right direction for that.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty understable disc, sending that off into the left, but looked maybe to get a pin high, so might have a look, but maybe pretty obstructed.
That'll be a drop-in par. And somebody's in there. Somebody's going to have to throw a disc out.
Gustav having to pitch out, not a short putt there, so he'll have to work for his par. This is Hjalmar for his 2.
And wow, that's a tough wind to putt in. That's lifting his putt as it comes out.
He made that look very easy, very smooth, got that nose angle very nice, just right into the heart of the chains.
And a good conversion for Gustav. That's going to feel like even more than a par save.
Nice opportunity at another birdie for Fritiof.
And all of a sudden, he's got the lead on our card.
good to see some Fritiof. Yeah, pretty new to the top level of disc golf in Sweden, so hoping to see more from him.
So a couple birdies, a couple pars, and overall our card doing fairly well. Hjalmar with probably like a couple of putts back, but still 9 holes of golf left to put a stamp on it. Max, take us home.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour coverage here from Gatekeeper Media.